Hi guys, my name is Natalia and welcome back to my channel. Today I've got a May reading wrap-up for you. So I read 5 books in May. I've pretty much enjoyed all of them except for one, which I'll talk about in a minute. So yeah, I guess let's get into it. The first book I read in May was Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I gave it like 3.75 stars. I know it's very specific, but I just felt like the most accurate rating. In this book, we follow Nora, who is this like career-driven city girl who goes on a vacation with her sister to this small town. And there she keeps running into her like professional nemesis, Charlie. And he's like a broody editor. So yeah, obviously feelings will arise. They will go from like disliking each other to really liking each other. I thought it was a very cute romance. But honestly, I felt like there was more focus on the sister relationship between Nora and her sister Libby than the romance itself. And I am a sister myself, so I get it. But like, I don't know, a lot of the drama felt a bit forced, and like it definitely could have been avoided if they just had an honest conversation. And also like, I understand Nora's need to protect her sister, but her like inability to ask direct questions or let her sister make her own choices just started to frustrate me so much after a while. And I don't know, is it because like I'm actually the younger sister, and Nora is the older sister, so yeah, I don't know what the older sister experience is like, but yeah, I just was kind of frustrated when I was reading it. I feel like just the character of Nora in general is just someone that's like so opposite to me. Like her character is so opposite to me that it was hard for me to relate to her in any way. She's this like workaholic, city loving girl, and she seems very cold on the outside. But we know she's not actually cold, but it's just her demeanor. But yeah, I just found it kind of hard to feel invested in his story. When it comes to Charlie, I really liked him and I really liked the romance itself. I thought it was very cute. I thought they had a lot of chemistry, so I was like blushing and giggling and kicking my feet, and it was just so cute. I just definitely wish there was a little bit more of the romance, but anyway, I did enjoy it. So, you know, I think this book is a very nice palette cleanser. I didn't love it as much as I loved Funny Story by Emily Henry. I actually gave Funny Story 5 stars. That's how much I loved it. But honestly, this one is also pretty good. Like, I just feel like it wasn't for me necessarily. But I feel like for some people, I can still recommend it. Also, there's like this bookish theme in this book. So obviously, Nora is a literary agent and Charlie is an editor, and they both work in the publishing industry, and they both obviously love books. There is a lot of talk about books in general. So honestly, I feel like every book lover will really enjoy this aspect. I definitely did. And yeah. So the next book I read is a literary fiction. It's called The Wedding People, and I gave it 4 stars. In this book, we follow Phoebe, who is like really struggling. You know, she deals with depression and she just feels like there's no point in living anymore. So she checks into this beautiful, luxurious hotel in order to end her life. So yeah, it starts off pretty dark. I actually really enjoyed like how raw and honest the portrayal of mental health was. It just felt very real because of that. I feel like, you know, most people who've experienced depression or like at least depressive thoughts can relate in some way to Phoebe. Well, maybe not everyone goes as far as to planning to end their own life, but I feel like most people will be able to relate to her in some ways. And like I said, while it starts off dark, It ends on like a very hopeful note. So it's not like a very dark, depressing book. It actually ends in like a very hopeful way, because Phoebe's life will be eventually changed by a group of strangers, and she will begin connecting with life again and enjoying life again. Obviously, I know it's like not that simple, and it's going to be a long process for her to reclaim her life and start enjoying it again, but she does begin her journey of doing that in this book. And just like her character development was amazing. She just felt so layered and so vulnerable, and watching her just go through everything really hit me hard. And also, just to be clear, I feel like it is sometimes branded as a romance. It's not a romance book. Like, there is tiny little bit of romance there, but that is definitely not the focus of the book. The focus is on like depression, grief, personal connection, friendship, and figuring out how to keep going when life starts to feel impossible. So definitely not a romance, but a very, very insightful and thought-provoking book. And also, like, it manages to be emotional and funny at the same time, which I really appreciate. Now, my main complaint is probably like the writing style, which threw me off at times. So the author would sometimes jump from past to present without like much wording, and some of the dialogue was written in this narration style, so it was just written like a narration. So obviously when it was narration, I thought it was Phoebe's thoughts, but then it turned out it was part of a dialogue. I guess it is like a certain style that the author chose. But yeah, I've read quite a lot of books in my life, and this was the first time I've seen this type of style. And at first it was a bit confusing, and I had to reread some of the lines just to like make sure I know who actually said them. But yeah, okay, other than that, I feel like it's a very beautiful story. It is a bit slow, but it's very powerful. The next book I read was an ARC that I received through NetGalley. It's called A Spell to Wake the Dead, and its expected publication date is the 26th of August. So if you find this book interesting, be sure to check it out. This is a YA fantasy about witches. We've got these two teen best friends, Nora and Mazzy, and they kind of like dabble in witchcraft, and they do simple spells together. One day they perform a spell on the beach, and right after that they find a woman's mutilated body, and just things start really spiraling from there into secret societies, ghostly voices, ancient rituals, and the creepy witchy cult. So it's like a supernatural murder mystery that also talks about this creepy witchy cult. I had so much fun reading it. I gave it 4.5 stars. It was a very fast-paced and action-packed read. Like, the atmosphere is really eerie and unsettling, and I feel like it's a perfect fall read, even though I didn't read it in fall. But I feel like if you want to read it, just maybe save it for fall, because it's perfect for that time of the year. The mystery itself was well written. Actually, I was afraid that it's going to be very predictable and that I already figured it out, but I managed to actually be surprised by the ending, so it wasn't as predictable as I had thought. There is a small bit of a romance. It's not like really overpowering the story, but it is there. I actually personally enjoyed it, but yeah, I guess it depends whether you like romance in these types of books. I just feel like it added like a sweet and heartwarming touch to this quite chilling story, so I did like the romance bit. And it is a YA setting, but I feel like even though it's YA, it is quite dark, and I feel like it is interesting enough to pull in even adult readers. That obviously includes me, although I do read quite a lot of YA. But I feel like there's like some YA that's like very like childish, and there's some YA that's less childish. So yeah, I feel like this one was the less childish one. And yeah, I just really enjoyed it so much, and I would definitely recommend it if you're in the mood for something spooky and mysterious and witchy. The next book I read was Never Lie by Freida McFadden. Oh my god, Freida McFadden, she's like coming out with so many books. Like, lady, slow down a little bit. I haven't read that many books by her. I read only The Housemaid, and now I've read Never Lie. I actually remember enjoying The Housemaid, but it's also been a while since I read it. Generally, I feel like many people did like The Housemaid, and when it comes to her other books, I feel like it depends. Like, they work for some people, they don't work for others. So let's talk about Never Lie. It didn't work for me. I ended up giving it 2 stars. I'm so sorry. Okay, first of all, let's talk about the premise of the book. So we've got this newly married couple, and they are supposed to get a tour of this house that they want to buy. And this house was once owned by a psychiatrist who went missing and was never found. The weather is terrible that day. It ends up being like a snowstorm, and they end up being trapped in that house. And while they are there, they find these tape recordings that the psychiatrist recorded with her patients, and they start to uncover some really disturbing secrets. So it was definitely a very quick read because I finished it in one day. I usually don't read books in one day, but it was just very fast-paced, so I just flew through it. I definitely did enjoy the atmosphere. It was very eerie and unsettling, so that was the thing that really kept me hooked. But the deeper we went into the story, the more disappointed I was. First of all, the writing was bad. It was very simplistic, and like, I know a lot of thrillers have this like simplistic writing, but this one was like really so repetitive. I feel like the author would just repeat the same things over and over again. It felt like she was trying to reach a certain word count. I feel like maybe instead of focusing on the quantity of the books, maybe she should focus on the quality a little bit more. I'm not sure how the other books are written, but I assume they might be similar. Anyway, so the characters were like so unlikable, and not just that, but they were also very uninteresting, and it just made it so hard to care about anything that was happening. Some of the characters' actions either didn't make sense or were inconsistent. And we go to the plot twist, which obviously I will not reveal. This is a spoiler-free video, but I will just tell you, I think that plot twist completely made no sense, given what we learned like in the first part of the book and the way it was written. I personally felt like it made no sense. It's a bit hard to explain without, actually spoiling it for you. I was really, really disappointed by the plot twist. It was shocking. I didn't predict it, but I was like, it was shocking because it made no sense. It's also kind of wild how much went down without anyone, not even police, noticing anything or even asking any questions. And like, trust me, I do know that the police are pretty shitty at doing their job at times. But I mean, so much went down in this book, and there was not a single police officer involved in it, or not even like a single person like suspecting something weird is happening. I don't know, it just felt so unrealistic. And the ending itself, I really hated it. It was so unsatisfying and far-fetched, and I just didn't like it. So overall, it was really not a thriller for me. I just didn't really enjoy it. I guess if you're looking for, something fast-paced to kill a few hours, you can give it a chance. Maybe you will like it. Obviously, there are some people that liked it, but I just personally didn't really like it. Okay, and the last book I read was Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. It's actually a reread for me. So I've recently got this special edition of this duology. This is the sequel to Six of Crows, and obviously I gave it 5 stars. I mean, I gave it 5 stars the first time I read it, and after rereading it, it's still 5-star, I guess maybe even 6-star read. This is my favorite series of all time, and I feel like rereading it really made me realize that, and it made me feel like I will never ever read another book or series that will make me feel this way. Like, this series is just so special. So it is a YA fantasy about this group of like criminals, I guess you could call them, that go on a heist. And you know, in this second book, so the first book kind of ended on like this cliffhanger, and in the second book, you know, we follow what happens next, and we follow our group of characters, you know, just planning like revenge and basically trying to outsmart the entire city. I love the characters. So it is a multiple POV book. We've got these 6 main characters, and we get chapters from all of their points of view, which I really like because I feel like it really helps us to get to know all of these characters better. And they are all so unique and so interesting. Also, like, you know, even though I knew kind of what events take place in this book, I was still so wrecked, so ruined by this book. Oh my god. But this series will forever have my heart, and I will never ever stop talking about it or recommending it. So there's that. Okay guys, so these were all the 5 books that I read in May. My favorite one was obviously Crooked Kingdom. But yeah, like I said, I enjoyed all of them except for Never Lie. And so I could recommend all of them except for Never Lie. Tell me what was your favorite read of May. And obviously don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye!